What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. It's Tuesday night. It's where we get together. We talk about the Panthers from the fan perspective, and I always do it with my homeboys. Joe, that freaking Puerto Rican, is on his way. He might be joining us midway through the show, but he's got good news. He's out there pounding the pavement, trying to get new kidneys. That's a good place to be. But in the meantime, we got some of our favorite homeboys. Mel Mayock's back in the house. What's up, Mel?
Hey, Tony, man, glad to be back. It's been a couple weeks since I've been on the show. Happy to be back talking Panther football with everybody.
And across the ocean, across the big pond, yeah, boy. What's up, boy? Jay?
Hello, Tony. How you doing? Thanks for having me on the show. Pleasure as always. Who would have thought it on draft night that would have been sat here end of November, 10-0. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Last time you joined us, it was draft night.
That was funny.
We had a great time kicking back. We'll have to have you on next draft too. But hey, kudos to you, dude. What time was it there over there in jolly old England?
Just gone past 3 a.m. But hey. Still going strong.
You the man.
Tell everybody watching and then listening later on where you're at right now.
So I'm in Bristol, England. I'm at university in Bristol, but from Birmingham, England, originally. Panther Nation, UK.
What's your football team, other than the American football? What's your the football team?
Wow. Aston Villa, my first love in life. Unfortunately, we're 20th out of 20 in the Premier League, facing relegation. But luckily, the Panthers have sort of been getting me through the year so far.
They've uplifted you. How's my team Swansea doing?
They're doing all right. I think they're sort of round about mid-table, but yeah,
they're Wales, right?
Yeah, they're one of the Wales teams. Yeah.
They're the dirty team. All right, guys, this is the C3 Podcast. Tonight's episode is how do you like your cowgirls? Deep fried, roasted, or red skinned? And it's a special holiday episode. We just closed our eyes and the game was over where we blew out the Redskins, and we're going to open our eyes on Thursday. And there's some irony here, celebrating Thanksgiving and with our boy from across the pond, celebrating America in the place that it is, where we whoop on America's team on Thursday night. Guys, you can check out the show as always, or participate in the show, should I say, using the hashtag C3. Go ahead and subscribe on YouTube while you're watching. And later on, what you'll need to do is check us out on iTunes or Stitcher and give us that good review. Mel, 10-0, how's it feeling?
Man, I tweeted earlier this week, everything tastes a little bit better. The wife's a little bit prettier. The air's a little bit fresher. Everything is a little bit better when you're 10-0, man.
The wine is a little sweeter. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into the show. We've got a ton to talk about tonight.
Austria. Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, I'm just getting warmed up. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Thailand, because I spit hot fire.
Take a flamethrower to this place!
What's hot on C3? Panthers are coming off another win. It's getting easy to say this 10 times in a row. 44-16 took down the Washington Redskins in what turned out to be a blowout. Cam Newton threw 5 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins the Washington Redskins turned the ball over 5 times. It was just a whooping from top to bottom. Jay, from across the pond, could you feel the pain that the Redskins were in that game?
Yeah, I was. After the first quarter, it looked like it was going to be a good game, but the class prevailed in the end. Special teams tried to make it interesting, but yeah, all in all, well impressed.
I think so. Tweeting at my boy Clip, who's a Redskins fan who was at the game, said, "I can't." He just tweeted in, "I can't bring myself to watch, but I'll retweet." He was there. He was there. He had to watch the misery up close and personal. And you're right. Early on, it seemed like it was going to be a good game. It seemed like the Redskins were ready to make some big plays. The Panthers were primed to give up the big plays. Mel, how'd they shut it down so quickly?
I don't know what they say. It was the highest scoring first quarter of the entire NFL season. So that first quarter was a shootout, man.
What, 28 points?
Yeah, which I find it a little hard to believe that was the highest.
I know, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it was 14-14. But something that the Panthers has made the difference in them this year and every other year that we've been watching them is they don't get rattled, man. Bad things happen, and they don't get rattled. They have an air about them that they're just gonna keep pounding, if you will, and they're gonna win. They're gonna make things happen, and things started going bad, and they just went to worse for them. It was they couldn't get out of their own way, as the freaking Puerto Rican said.
Yeah, Jay, your accent is talk of the town on Twitter right now. Christina asked this at ChrisAG1336. How did you come? How did our friend from England come to love the Panthers?
Well, what happened was I moved to Bristol. Started university 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, and my friend Bono, actually two friends. I got a friend, his name's B, he's from Jordan but spent a lot of time in America. He's a 49ers fan, and my friend Bono, who's from just outside Birmingham, he's a big Saints fan. So kept going on at me about the NFL, both of them. Tried to get me into it. Eventually, we sat down. We watched the Saints versus the Panthers match. I was supposed to be supporting the Saints with my friend Bono, but just fell in love with the Panthers. Cam Newton, really just caught my eye. Started sort of reading up on the Panthers, who they were, researching them, and then 3.5 years later, I'm obsessed. Cam Newton, signed jersey, haven't missed a game since. Really, it has literally just become a massive passion of mine.
I think it's really because the Saints logo is the Le Fleur, and that's associated with France so much. So if you're English, you got to hate the French, right?
Well, normally, traditionally, I know recently we've had a few. There's been a few problems that have sort of led to. Us all standing united as one. But yeah, traditionally, we're not the biggest fans of the French.
Right, you're right. I guess the recent events we're all representing the civilized world today. So this game, it seemed like it was going to be close. The Panthers, early on, Deshaun Jackson takes advantage of, he gets Colin Jones twisted around. Breaks off a 57-yard touchdown catch. The Panthers then respond. Were you guys concerned when they struck so far with Deshaun Jackson early? Did it seem too easy to you? Mel, I'll let you take it first.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the biggest fear when our team is sitting here and having all this success is that they get a little complacent. They don't put as much study time as that happens. They're feeling too good. They're reading their own press clippings. And we were missing our boy Tillman, Peanut Tillman. So it was it was a big worry. As soon as that happened, I said, oh, no, are we going to start falling apart? Did we prepare the right way? But they turned it around quick. I thought it was good.
I want to call out all the people that were talking junk about Colin Jones on Twitter because all those same people were 3 months ago the guys talking up like how great Colin Jones was and how important he was to the team, and then they just turned on him and said he was a mismatch. He's like the second fastest or third fastest dude on the team.
He's a fast dude.
I think he got twisted up. I don't think he's as good as Deshaun Jackson. I think he just got messed up. But, the easy guy to pick on there was Colin Jones. But Kurt Coleman was asleep back there at safety, and he took a long time getting over. So that was just a broken play altogether. Yeah,
and honestly, scheme-wise, why did we have our backup nickel up against their best wide receiver? Why wasn't Benet on, so there's a lot going on in that play.
That didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
One thing I would say though, when you watch them, they're almost like a fighter that needs to take a good punch before he wakes up. They tend to, the defense tends to give them start off with one big play, and then sort of wakes them up, and then they tend to go locked down, from afterwards, and that's what happened.
That is exactly. That's a great analogy. On top, and what I thought was really exciting about this game, even with the kind of early strikes, is Carolina responded immediately.
That's right.
Every time, and there seemed a moment there where in the past, I don't know if this Carolina Panthers team would have done that. Those types of daggers would have been momentum killers. Right now, it looks like the Panthers can take whatever you throw at them, and like you said with the fighter analogy, they can take your best punch and come back at you and get you on the ropes real quick. On top, speaking of that, I think one thing I've seen that's improved over the last 3 weeks has been the running game. Cam Newton has not been a part of it, which is, to me, a good sign. Jonathan Stewart, 3 weeks in a row, positive gains. I think he had 290 yards, and now he had 102 yards. Jonathan Stewart runs in, responds to the Deshaun Jackson touchdown with a big run, dives into the end zone, and dude hits him low. He threw the ball at him real gently. What did you guys think about that penalty, Mel? What did you think about the hit and the penalty?
Well, let me tell you what I thought about the play. I thought it was a brilliant play. It was kind of a takeoff of the read option, right? I mean, that was a play that we haven't really done before, where they faked the handoff, and instead of Cam running, he threw it out to Stewart. Getting him involved in the receiving game was pretty awesome. And then he goes in to score. I don't. It's easy for us as Panther fans to say it was a cheap shot, the guy going at his knee, but going, live and as bullets fly, I don't know if that was intent, but I don't blame Stewart for throwing the ball at him and saying a few words. I mean, I like the toughness and the callousness of our team. I mean, we don't play. I like it.
Jay, did you see how he looked concerned? You saw Stewart. Yeah. You saw Stewart worry right away when he felt that hat on his knee.
I was worried.
I just feel that we've got a lot of strength and depth across the board, but we haven't really seen anything but Stewart in the running game. Obviously apart from Cam, I do feel like if we were to lose him, that's one quick way our season could go down quickly. So obviously, like all Panther fans, I panicked at first, but I still felt like the defender was in his right to make that tackle. I think it just hurt more than anything. I don't think it was a fact that he was annoyed. I think it was just helmet on knee. His instant reaction was, you've hurt me there. I'm gonna chuck the ball at you. But I don't think it quite deserved. It wasn't a vicious. He wasn't being disrespectful. It was just, did you really need to do that? So I didn't think it really deserved the penalty. But it is what it is. The penalties came back to help us later on, didn't they? So you have to take them.
I agree 100%. Is that Jonathan Stewart? It was almost just kind of like a reflex what he did. But he made some hard runs. He came back and he really put it on some dudes. He has been churning it up. What do you guys think about the Carolina Panthers continuing to run the ball effectively, but not needing Cam in the last 3 or 4 weeks to do so? That's got to be kind of heartening. Mel, don't you think that we're ready to bust it out when we need it now? That's what I feel like, is that we're kind of saving it. And when we need it, Cam's going to mess you up.
Yeah, we're going to lull people to sleep. But, there's a difference in running the ball and running the ball when you need to run the ball, right? I mean, you're not just getting the trash or trash time type of yards racking it up when it doesn't matter. But when it's 3rd and 2, game on the line, can you run the ball and can you get it? And, we're averaging 139.9 yards a game. We're kicking butt, leading the NFL. And like you said, we're not leaning on Cam in the run game, which is keeping him healthy. Because the one thing that's going to derail this season, if anything does, is Cam or Jay Stu or somebody like that getting injured. I mean, there's probably 4 guys on this team that we just can't lose, and those are 2 of them.
We've got one thing I think, too, is that we're starting to see the run game get a little chemistry. I think the blocking is getting a little bit more cohesive, and you need that down the stretch. But what really this has been about for the last 3 weeks in a row is this has been the Cam Newton show on offense. 5 touchdowns. He was throwing darts. The play that stuck out for me, guys, I know we can pick so many. We could pick the Funchess touchdown. It was a great pass. The Ted Ginn Jr. was also a great pass. But the play that sticks out to me, they had just, I believe, returned the football for that touchdown. And then we came out and we got a penalty. And somehow we got a holding penalty or false start or something like that. And we were backed up on our 10. It was 2nd and 22. And Cam Newton hits Jericho Cotchery for 20 yards. It just seemed like there was nothing that could phase this team. You give them – it could have been – I felt like it could have been 3rd and 30, and they still would have converted.
Is it just me, Professor, or does anybody else feel like we're in a Madden game? We're in Cam Newton's Madden football game.
It's starting to feel that way. It's really starting to feel that way. He's sitting there. He's got a lot of time. He's got great protection.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're finally seeing something. We're finally seeing Cam play to all his potential, and we're seeing something special. Apart from the end of the Colts game where everyone started looking tired, I haven't really felt like we wouldn't win the game. To be honest, I just think as long as the ball's in Cam's hand, we can win. If the defense is on the field, we can win. And like you said, even 2nd and 22 or whatever it was, you just feel like last season you might have felt that he might throw a pick here or he might get sacked. Just this season you sort of automatically just know he's going to pull out of the bag one way or another, don't you? It's just something's clicked this year.
Yeah, it's all coming together. I think here is that we're seeing Cam Newton become all the things that people said he couldn't become. He's spreading the ball around. He hit 9 different receivers. All he's done this season has just spread the ball around to a bunch of different guys. Nobody other than Olsen really stands out as the key guy, which I think makes everybody better because none of those guys are good enough to have too much attention. So by him spreading the ball around, he diverts attention. But, guys, you know what sticks out to me as seeing Cam Newton become the quarterback that everybody said he couldn't be? Ready! And those hard counts.
One more time, man. One more time.
Ready!
Yeah, right.
He first of all, his voice carries so crazily. It's awesome. But he had them boys jumping out their shoes. At one point, he got 2 offside calls in a row.
Yeah.
How is this? We always praise Peyton, Omaha. We praise all these guys for forcing that. Even Cam Newton is starting to find the little things in the game that are making him better, and it's got to be impressive. Did you guys notice that as well?
All right, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, without a doubt, he's doing the small things, and I think the sign of a good quarterback is you know, he makes average receivers look good. You've got to ask yourself, if you're sort of scouting out a team and you're trying to work out who you're going to put your best cornerback on, take Olsen out of this. Who's our number one receiver? You don't know who that is because, you know, we've got so many that Cam can throw to, and we haven't got any real stars on the pitch, have we? So, you know, I'm sick of hearing so many people knocking Cam because of his passer rating or his statistics. But anybody who watches what he does, you know, he's a playmaker, and like you said, he's doing the small things now that are really making a difference for the team. And, you know, every one of those penalties takes the pressure off us, puts us in a better position. So.
And I tell you what, he is just growing up right before our eyes. I mean, I saw in the press conference the other day, he said the difference is the preparation and who puts in the prep work and then goes out and executes. I mean, that's not a guy just standing back leaning on his own talents, you know.
Well, the thing is, he actually, you know, he holds himself like a leader now. You know, I've seen when Graham Gano missed the field goal, you know, it could have cost us the game. Cam, you know, big smile on his face, put his arm around him, went out and won the game for us. You know, years gone by, you'd have seen him putting a towel over his face. Right. You know, I believe he is now the leader of the team, and I think it's took him a few years to get to the point he's at now. But you know,
I mean, he's a big kid. You know, I mean, it's hard to ask. It's hard for anybody to think that he's going to be. And this is the problem with the media and everybody. They need like instant coffee rather than letting it percolate and brew. Is that he's a great talent. He had all this, but I mean, he was 22 years old. You know, when I was 22 years old, you couldn't pull me away from the bar.
Some things don't change, brother.
Some things don't change.
Just a quick note that I'd just like to add in there that's quite interesting is, obviously, the structure of our sports are so different to yours. You build them up through college, etc. Whereas, take Premier League football, for example. Each club has its own academy and takes kids from 7 or 8, builds them up. But nobody's expected to come into the first team and really ever make an impact. You know, they're almost sort of slowly come in for the last 10, 15 minutes of games over 6, 12 months. I mean, you look at someone like Wayne Rooney, the England captain now, you know, he's the player he is because Everton brought him through slowly, built him up, and then obviously went on to Man United. I just find it so interesting that, you know, with your sports in America, NBA, NFL, you get drafted from what is a different world in college football and thrown in and almost expected to lead a team and a quarterback. And I just find that fascinating because I don't think you'll find many sports in the world where anybody is given that sort of pressure when they first come into a league.
And that's kind of I mean, it's kind of a new phenomenon too. You know, it's not something that's always been the case. You know, you expected guys to come up and do some different things, but it's really in the last, 15 years.
You know when it started? I think it started right around the time of Troy Aikman when he came in back in 1989, 1990, and everybody was expecting him to be the savior. He went 1-15. They started to say he was a bust, and then he turned around the next year and then took him, all the way to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's when things started being, all right, you're going number one, you got to be held to that standard. You're either a superstar or you're a bust. And I think it's absurd. I agree with you.
Maybe it's been going on longer than we thought. I was watching something where... What is up, Joe Riolano, the man, the road warrior? How are you? Welcome to the show.
What's up, Joe?
I'm glad to be back, guys. I am back in Charleston. I was up in Durham. I got to talk to a lot of Panther fans. There are a lot of fans up there. I'm glad to be back. I'm ready to jump on in and get rolling here.
All right, well, I'm going to ask you this, Joey, because you know a little bit more about the NFL, the past NFL, than I do. I'm watching Cam Newton out there throw these darts, these lasers out there, and I just wonder, is it possible he has the biggest arm in NFL history?
I would say he would be a candidate. I would love to see him lined up with some of the guys from the past who were known to put some pepper on the ball, if you will. But yeah, I would say he's probably up there as one of the greatest arms. I'm based on pure arm strength.
Yeah, just on speed. Who are the guys that pop to your mind? Is it Favre?
Elway.
Elway?
Yeah, Elway. He was famous for the Elway cross.
Jeff George.
Jeff
That's
George.
my guy.
Yeah, he had a cannon.
God, that
He
dude
had
threw.
a cannon.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He threw ropes, man. If he wasn't such a jerk.
Right. And
all
Jay
right.
Cutler, surprisingly, believe it or not, has a pretty strong arm.
All right, so we have broken down, Joey, the offense performance in this game, or at least we've talked about it. We didn't talk about Funchess. It continues to show growth, but I think we need to turn the attention to the defense. They scored, the Redskins, who have had a relatively effective running attack. They have a lot of backs. Their offensive line has been playing better. They had 14 rushing yards and 1 rushing first down. Joey, they were 2 for 9 on third downs. This defense put it on them. They really suffocated them. And Joan tweeted in earlier, she said, look, the 2 plays that they scored on were kind of mishaps. They were freak plays. Mm-hmm. And this game should have been 44-2, she said. Joey, how impressed were you with this defense? No Charles Johnson, no Peanut Tillman. They still getting it done.
It was impressive. It really shows you how good this defense is, and it shows it's a good sampling of our depth. You can really see how we're talented, but then you go to our second-tier players, and the level of play does not drop that significantly. I think that's the biggest testament. And even when we have our backups in, we are still playing as a unit. They don't seem out of place. They're not, aligning wrong, that sort of thing. And I think that really is a testament to our coaching and to the quality of second players we have. What's up, Jay?
Hello, Jay. How are you, mate?
I'm good. You doing okay?
Yeah, it's nice to see you again.
I'm glad to hear you're doing all right over there in the UK.
Still representing Panther Nation.
Jay, I want to ask, let me jump in here and ask this, is that the Redskins allowed 12 sacks prior to our meeting with them this past Sunday. The Panthers got 5, I believe. How are we being so disruptive? What is it? Is it scheme? Is it pressure? Is it both? What are we doing, Jay, to get that pressure on the quarterback?
I just think it's good coaching, rotating the players. I saw a big play Benet got in there and got one. Kurt Coleman's been chipping in. So it's sort of sacking them from all different angles, which is keeping the offenses honest. And we've got Charles Johnson to come back as well. We're looking ready, really.
Big money. Big money.
And I think, like touching on the Colts game from before, it just shows the massive difference when you're not putting any pressure on the quarterback. We got tired. All of a sudden, Andrew Luck had all the time in the world, and then our secondary went from looking like a beast to all of a sudden looking very vulnerable. So it just shows how important that is, and it's only going to get stronger. Number 69 has been a nice addition to the team. I don't know what the Bears are thinking, trading him after they, already paid him for the year, but
we appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. I mean, he's been a nice addition, hasn't he? And he seems like a leader and a nice character, which I think is very important to, the franchise. That's what they look for. So he's fitted in on and off the pitch. So happy
All right.
days.
Well, we've got now joining us from ProFootballSpot.com, Tony Lorenzo, Dallas Cowboys writer. Thank you for joining the C3 podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So what we're doing is we're talking about the Carolina Panthers, their defensive performance against the Redskins, and then we're going to jump quickly into the Dallas Cowboys in just one moment. Joey, one thing that Jay said about the performance when it came to the coaching with this defense and getting that pressure, we've got timely blitzes. Sean McDermott's great with bringing that cornerback blitz out of nowhere. But another thing that I saw is I found excuse me. Joey made me laugh. I was reading text earlier and I totally misinterpreted it. But what was I saying? Oh, Ryan Dallaire, Joe. It seems like he only has one gear, and he's had trouble getting after the quarterback. But what the Panthers seem to be doing is trying to use him in more creative ways, kind of bringing him in on some stunts. Joey, did you see that a little bit with the coaching there?
I believe I noticed it on one play, which is, I think, a great move. When linemen stunt, they sort of, one goes one direction, and it's sort of a misdirection. And using his speed, how he likes to play, is either stop or going at 100 miles an hour. Coming up that middle, that really puts a lot of pressure on the lineman, the guard in the center, to get to the guy that was on the outside and is now coming up in the inside. And that can be very disruptive. That is making good use of his speed. Because he's coming up the middle, he's going to force the quarterback one way or the other. And when your defensive ends are closing in, he's pushing them right toward them. Lorenzo, how are you?
I'm well, sir.
Good. We are looking forward to playing the Cowboys. I'm kind of switching speeds here, but we were talking about defensive linemen, Tony. It made me think about offensive linemen. And what are the Cowboys known for?
They are known for a crazy offensive line that has like 30 people on it.
Right, that can play. That are all players. Last year, they helped to lead, their running back lead the league in rushing. This year, we've seen a drop-off in production. Is that right, Lorenzo? They're not the same running team they were last year, this year.
Yeah, it seems like they failed to find their sort of niche in what they had last year. I mean, you start off with Joseph Randall, who everyone's like, this is supposed to be the guy. And that doesn't even fall through. You saw what happened a couple of weeks ago when he got cut. Now the burden lies on McFadden. And even then, like, before McFadden, we signed Christian Michael. Dunbar gets out for the season. Christian Michael gets cut. Nobody even knows who's left after Dan McFadden. But McFadden seemed to have produced little by little. He's had 300 rushing yards games this season. It might take some time, but he seems to have adjusted little by little. The only thing lacking in him is consistency, because he's failed to have back-to-back 100-yard rushing games.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he is proving to be the guy with the 3 100-yard games this year. But has the offensive line changed any? Have you had people get hurt and had to bring in other players?
A little bit, yes. I know at first they were very worried about starting Roy Collins, and now he's...
Lorenzo, if you could turn up your microphone maybe, or turn the volume up, or maybe talk into the mic. We're having trouble hearing you.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, there you go. That's much better.
Okay. No, yeah, they seem to have trouble getting that uncertainty if they were going to start rookie Leroy Collins, and it seemed like after a while they got him going, and he's been the starter for the past 3 or 4 weeks already. But besides that, that's the only like sort of major move for the offensive line that we've seen so far from the Cowboys.
Okay, so the line is the same. Did you guys change scheme? Are you running a different type of blocking scheme, or is it the same as last year?
It seems to be the same as last year. It seems a little different, like we've mentioned before, because of the transition as far as running backs. But besides that, it seems like everything's sort of the same as far as the offensive line goes. Especially without having Tony Romo for like 7 weeks, that really kind of shifted more of the burden on them.
Running game.
Yeah, I mean, when Tony Romo's out and Dez Bryant's out, I imagine defenses can stack the box a little bit differently than they could last year. So now that you got those two guys back, what's the mood there in Cowboy Nation?
It seems exciting, honestly. I know even before Romo came back, people were already talking about going 9-7 and still winning the division. I was like, and it seems like that's still the possibility that's been talk around the Cowboys as far as just pushing for that undefeated season, undefeated second half of the season, with Romo back.
That would be impressive if they were able to pull that off. I really believe that would be impressive. But Romo's not really 100%, is he?
From what I saw Sunday, yes and no. He seems to still be getting transitioned into the offensive scheme of things. Yeah, he did have 2 interceptions Sunday, especially one bad one where the blitz was coming, he just threw it. And that's not Romo-like to just throw it like that with a blitz coming at you. So, yeah, he seems like he's still trying to adjust to things.
What about the defense on the Cowboys? Do you expect them to start to play a little bit better now that Romo's back? The Cowboys will be able to extend drives. The defense will be able to get a rest as opposed to spending so much time on the field when you had the other quarterbacks in.
Yeah, I expect the defense to still stay the same. You saw games, especially against the Seahawks, where they lost by a point, and they played really well, especially when Greg Hardy got that interception against Russell Wilson. It wasn't really the defense, far past the 7-game losing streak Dallas.
Right.
With Romo back and being able to score more, especially touchdowns, that's what they lacked without Romo. I think if them be able to score more, then this will help them. Especially the defense get some breather down the road.
Exactly.
Joe, I think what we're all interested in really hearing about 2 things is, first, I'm not going to say Greg Hardy here. I want to talk about Josh Norman versus Dez Bryant. What we have is 2 real feisty personalities, Joe. In fact, Josh Norman described it as going to be a fiery night. You've got Dez Bryant showing frustration this season. He's emotional. He's back to his emotional self. Norman has kept his composure. Do you think that this matchup is going to be one that is the one to watch? I cannot see Romo saying, I'm not going to throw to Dez because Josh Norman's on him.
Yeah, for sure. I really think this is going to be one key matchup to actually look for. With Dez Bryant finally playing for this is going to be his 4th week back, he shouldn't have any setbacks. So with him finally being 100% and his quarterback finally being back for Dallas, I think, of course, why wouldn't Romo look for Dez Bryant? I think this is going to be something key and major to look for in Thursday's game.
What do you expect to see out of that matchup?
It's going to be tough, honestly. I feel, as far as Dez Bryant goes, I mean, this is barely his 5th game. And even then, this is going to be one of the toughest cornerbacks he's going to go up against. As opposed to Sherman, that's this season when Dallas played Seattle, that's the only cornerback he's really had difficulties, they gave him a run for his money this season.
All right, Mel Mayock, a.k.a. Aaron Ford, Dallas Cowboys, you know these guys well. In fact, the Carolina Panthers have had a history with them in the NFC Championship game, I believe, or wasn't it that we knocked them out in '99?
I think that's right.
Well,
Or 96 or something?
1996,
Yeah.
the year I stopped being a Dallas Cowboy fan, and I loved the Panthers when they came to town, but I still love the Cowboys. But when the Cowboys fired Jimmy Johnson for the buffoon that is Barry Switzer, that said he didn't even know where Charlotte was on the map, and they came to town with prime time, and they felt like they were just going to run through this little podunk town and go on to the Super Bowl, and we cleaned their clocks and beat them. I was at that game with my brother, and I couldn't talk for the next week, so that was a pivotal point in my sports life for sure. That was an awesome night.
All right, Mel, first Thanksgiving appearance for the Carolina Panthers. Mel Mayock, how do you think what does this mean for this organization?
Well, it's prime time, man, and if we step up and play well, I mean, earlier in the season, playing well on Monday night, and Sunday night, and beating the Packers and beating the Colts and beating the Eagles, we kind of earned our place at the big boys table. Now, if we win on Thursday, I think we own the big boys table. So it's big time for the Charlotte area as a whole.
Jay Cryer in England, tell me this. Is there concerns about this matchup? Romo back, Dez getting healthy, Greg Hardy playing his old team, prime time, and their backs are against the wall. They're trying to win their division strangely, even though they're 3-7. Jay, any worries that this is a game that could be a letdown game for the Panthers?
Well, I've already put my money on the Panthers to win. Could not believe that I got a 1.5 head start. So
isn't that amazing?
I was like, you're winding me up. So I've had a considerable bet. But no, to be honest, I watched the highlights of their game from Sunday. I wasn't overly impressed. I don't think Dez Bryant will get anything around Josh Norman. I think he's just shut down corner. And to be honest, I'm just not scared at all. I personally think we'll win quite comfortably. And for anybody that hasn't had a chance to watch us, there's going to be no excuse on Thursday. Everyone's going to be off work. I'll be sat there 3 o'clock in the morning. Happy days, I think we'll have a lot more Panthers fans come Friday morning than we've got now. So, bring it on.
Jay, I wanted to ask you a question. It's not football related, but does the English version of Thanksgiving include giving thanks that the Pilgrims and people who did not want to be in England left and came to America?
We don't have an English version.
Okay, do you celebrate any holiday in November?
No. Only Bonfire Night, November 5th.
Okay.
Nice.
What's Bonfire Night?
It's to do with Guy Fawkes. It's to do with them trying to bomb a traditional English building. To be honest, I should probably know more than I do. But it's not really a holiday. It's not a holiday at all, to be honest. It just means on the nearest Saturday to the 5th of November, everyone lights a bonfire and sets off loads of fireworks. That's as far as it goes, unfortunately. No food, no presents.
So here's a question for you. Is local media in and around the UK there, do they talk about American football on Thanksgiving? I mean, is that even a topic that's talked about, or
Not
is it
really. Not really.
Thing? No?
To be honest, Sky Sports, which is like the biggest, Sky is like the biggest provider of TV over here, satellite TV. They've got Sky Sports, which have all the NFL games. At the start of the season, they did like a NFL 32 Live, where they tried to go around all of the NFL franchises in one day. They're trying their best to sort of promote it over here, but it's very much a second thought. You'll find it under, you'll have football, cricket, rugby, tennis, golf, everything, and there'll be a American sports section. You'll click on there, and then there'll be, a little bit about the Packers and New England. But no, it's still not really took off. There might be a little bit more because obviously there'll be a lot in the media about Thanksgiving on the Thursday. But I doubt, to be honest, that your average person will even know that American football's a big thing on Thanksgiving.
All right, I want to ask Lorenzo this because we are getting a lot of chatter on Twitter right now. A lot of people believe, from what our people on Twitter are saying, is that Dallas feels that they can win this game and that they can pressure Cam Newton and make him force him to become inaccurate and turn the ball over. What's the level of confidence with the Cowboys hosting a 10-0 Panthers team, Lorenzo?
It's been pretty high. Seeing the news yesterday, especially in the media, it's kind of weird how yesterday Dallas was a 1-point favorite, and then it goes back to today Carolina's a 1-point favorite, and it flip-flopped that kind of change within a day. But the team does seem very confident they can win. Hardy going against his former team, Romo back, Dez getting 100% healthy, Sean Lee finally playing, or we can hope, healthy again. They expect those kind of movements like that to help propel the team.
Are you that confident? Because you said the mood is confident. How do you feel?
I'm 50-50 right now, honestly. I mean, it's only been one game since Romo has been back. You still have that 7-game losing skid that you had. And there's a chance Brian Jones, the rookie, might actually have to make his start this week at cornerback for the Cowboys. So it's very up in the air for me as to what I feel what Dallas can do, especially starting a rookie at cornerback, and that's always been their weak position.
I'm going to go ahead and put this out, and I'm sorry, Lorenzo, I shouldn't be like this since you're our guest, but we're going to bust that ass. And really, I am so furious about all of this is the Panthers have been nothing but fantastic this year. And I love that the media is, Skip Bayless is saying the Panthers are overrated and Dallas is underrated. I love that the line is like basically a pick 'em because the Carolina Panthers are going to straight curb stomp these guys. And the reason I say that is that this happened once again, the same scenario, an undefeated team going into Dallas in 1985, known as the Chicago Bears, the last 10-0 team to go on the road and be undefeated, or an undefeated team to not be favored, was the Chicago Bears, who Ron Rivera was a part of. Joey, do you know what the result, Joey Riolano, that freaking Puerto Rican, do you know what the result of that game was?
No, I know the Bears defense went crazy in that game, though.
Yeah.
It was 44-0.
Okay, there you go.
And let's just say it wasn't Dallas that won. Why, Lorenzo, tell us this. How is it that a fan base, that the media, that everybody, even Vegas, can latch on to the Cowboys given the success that Carolina's had this so far?
I think history from last season and just the confidence in Romo being back is the two main things. And it's probably, I guess you could go back to the division being weak as well, especially if Cowboys, if you technically look at it, only 2 games from the division. And some of the games that they lost during that 7-game skid were only by like 11 points or less, especially 4 of them. When you look back to see the Eagles game, the Giants game, the Seahawks game, those were all winnable games, even the Saints game. So I feel like just those close-knit games, the history within the team, and the confidence they have with Romo being back is the main reason. Like people jump on the bandwagon.
Mel Mayock, I felt like Panther fans could have said that last year, and nobody was saying that about us.
No, that's true. That's true. But you know me this year, Professor. I've been a little reserved. I want our play to do the talking. I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to crush them because 10-0. We're going to lose at some point. I don't think we're going to go undefeated. And run through the
Why?
Super
I've
Bowl.
got 10 reasons to tell you we're not.
I think we'll go undefeated.
Do you really? You think we're going all the way through the Super Bowl undefeated?
I think the minute we got through the Colts game, and then was it the Colts and the Packers, or the other way around? I'm getting all mixed up.
It was Colts and then the Packers.
Yeah. Once we got past the Packers, that was it. Then they're all very winnable games.
Well, yeah, they're winnable, but I mean, look at Cincinnati, who's a darn good team. They got taken out by Tennessee or Houston.
Yeah, Dalton versus Cam Newton. I know who I'd rather have in my team.
Yeah, and on top of that, they go and lose to Arizona. I don't know. I mean, they're a good team, but there's something special about this Carolina Panthers team. Let's talk about this Greg Hardy. This Greg Hardy discussion, and that is we've got some people on Twitter saying, I saw one that was about Hardy that said, Christina tweets in, I want our O-line to make Greg Hardy cry, just destroy him. If that doesn't happen, Cam Newton can do it. Jay Cryer across the pond, should we tax who's got more to revenge or payback in this game, Greg Hardy or the Panthers? Because I feel like it's the damn Panthers.
Heck yeah, we paid him $13 million.
Yeah, to the tune of $13 million.
For one game.
He had our pants down, really, didn't he? We paid him $13 million. Does that make him probably the highest paid athlete per game for one game in the history of sports?
I think that's a good point.
That's a good.
To be honest, right, I'll be the first to admit it. That at first, I was a bit gutted. But obviously, the more I've learnt about him, good riddance. That's not where we're about as an organisation. And I'm a believer that if we're going to win it, I'd rather wait and win the right way rather than no offence to what Dallas are doing and just taking somebody on like Greg Hardy, sort of going against your own morals just to try and get a win. And I'm not being funny. He's got an 80% loss rate since he's come back, so he's not scaring anybody, is he?
Lorenzo, tell us, what are your thoughts about Greg Hardy?
It was a risk move in the beginning, and for these past 4 games, it seemed like it's paid off. But then recently, it seems like people are now unfavorable of Hardy, especially if Jerry Jones had a one-on-one meeting with him, telling him, "Hey, you can't be missing team meetings or doing this." And now it seems like Jerry Jones was all over this deal, and now he's like, "Well, it seems like he's having second thoughts." But as far as my perspective, I would say it is a risk move, and I feel like it's just one of those players like the Cowboys got when they had Pac-Man Jones and Terrell Owens. And yes, these players were great, but they were just there for the hype on getting that media attention.
Right.
Boys, can I just shout out Missy Russell, 81, for my nice little tweet she just sent out. I like you too.
You got quite a little following out there on Twitter, man. One of our C3 girls shouted out, said I'd love to hear an entire Panther game called in your accent.
Well, if Panthers are listening, I'm more than happy and relatively cheap, to be fair. So all 20 Lambert and Butler and a few beers, and I'll do every game. So
if you could become as popular as the Hispanic radio,
brilliant.
They are fantastic. All right, we're getting close to the end. Lorenzo, we're going to let you go for the night, but we want to ask you this. What's your prediction for the game?
My honest prediction is Carolina 24-21. I see it being close, but I think that streak lives on for them, and Dallas is just going to have trouble because they've always had trouble against mobile quarterbacks, and I think that's just going to be one of the things they're going to have trouble going up against.
All right, excellent. Can you tell everybody listening, we got a lot of people tweeting in the show, listening, and they all come to the website, listen to the podcast. Can you tell them where they can find your work?
Yes, for sure. Just follow me on Twitter at Lorenzo Almanza2, LORENZOALMANZA, the number 2.
All right, thanks a lot, Lorenzo, and we'll catch up with you on Twitter over Turkey Day. Hey, by the way, let me ask you this: how do you cook your turkey? Do you roast it in the oven or do you deep fry it?
We roast it in the oven, yes.
Okay, that's how I go too. All right, thanks a lot, Lorenzo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
See you, mate.
Thank you.
All right, guys. What we were going to do now is we're going to finish up with our last couple of segments of the show. We've kind of, over the last couple of weeks, we've strayed from our format, which is strange because we stuck to it for so long.
Don't worry, Tony. It's only nearly 4 o'clock in the morning now.
I know. I wanted to say I had a dab on 'em pick, dab on 'em folks pick. Player of the game, and that goes to, and I'm not going to make everybody do it, but I prepared for it. It goes to Jonathan Stewart, who dabbed on some Chris Culliver and matched up with Chris Culliver after he broke 1 or 2 tackles and then mashed him into the ground like he did to Rondé Barber back in the day.
Yes, he did.
Dab on them folks, Jonathan Stewart. By the way, Chris Culliver, looked him up, former San Francisco 49er, former South Carolina Gamecock, suspended earlier in the season for hit and run on a bicyclist, and then a witness chased him down.
Oh my!
Cornered him. And then Culliver tried to attack the witness with brass knuckles.
What?
Serious?
I know. And Cam Newton is the bad role model for kids.
Cam Newton is the thug of the bunch, huh?
Right, because he dances after he scores touchdown.
Oh, gosh. All right. We're at the end of the show. I had so much more I wanted to talk about. It's hard to plow all through it. Let's go through it. Let's just talk about one last thing with the Dallas game. Jay, tell me what you think the keys of the Carolina Panthers winning this game on Thanksgiving are.
Just to stick to our own game. Don't be sort of psyched out by the importance of prime time on Thanksgiving. Just keep doing what we're doing. I personally just think there's too many leaders. I mean, we already had a lot of leaders, and then you've had people like Peanut Tillman, Kurt Coleman, who's become probably my favourite player. Just love the guy.
He's a ball hawk. Just a ball hawk.
I just think he's brilliant. I mean, I could literally name 10 to 12 leaders that I just don't think will let us get overwhelmed at any point. And I definitely can't see this Dallas team doing it to us. So I think just keep doing our thing, and I think it'd be quite comfortable. I've had the bet with the 1.5, but I won some money on the weekend betting us to win by 20 points. I think I might do it again this weekend. That's how confident about this Thursday. That's how confident I am. So.
Wow. Joey, give me the keys to this game.
I think the keys to this game are pressuring Romo, because then he can't throw to Dez, and if he does, under pressure, there's a better chance of an INT, and we have to run the ball. What we've done all year, play good defense and run the ball. If we do that, we'll win.
Should we try to break Romo's shoulder?
Yes.
Okay.
I hate to say that, but yes, you don't want to specifically go after it, but you do want to tackle him very hard, and it may be hard enough to, refracture that collarbone.
You want him to feel
Yeah,
it.
he's
You want him to know
broken
you're there.
twice already. This is the second time he's broken it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind to see a little KK Star Latule sandwich with Tony Romo in the middle.
That doesn't sound right at all.
No. There's some issues there, man.
Okay, Mel. Thanks, buddy. What are the keys? What are the keys to winning this game, Lugger?
Honestly, I think it comes down to two things. One, to win the turnover battle. We can't go out there and start throwing picks, fumbling the ball, dropping a punch, things like that. That's number one. Number two is we got to keep playing with swagger. We got to keep making plays. We can't get rattled. We got to stay playing with that same bit of confidence. And I think, and like Jay, I'm confident we're going to do that. I think Cam's going to rise up even bigger. He wants to be the entertainer and the icon. I think it's going to be his day on Thursday.
All right. Well, this is the end of the C3 podcast, very last segment, and I know Joe's got to run. Joe, do you got an ice up pick of the week for us? It is time where we tell somebody to ice up, or should we tell you to go ice up and get those kidneys on ice?
I know, right? I did have an ice up candidate this week. Let me just remember who it was. It was a player in the league. Grab it.
There's so many
blank.
There's so many to choose from.
There's so many.
It was somebody who got in trouble. Oh, it was Frank Alexander. He's a stunard because he got suspended again.
And he's not even playing. Why are they testing? Why are they drug testing dudes?
Because he has been positive in the past, and when you get positive in the past, it make you.
Stephen Hill got busted too for PE.
No. I think Stephen Hill's suspension was still back from when he got in trouble.
It's only one guy.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of days for Panther players because Stephen Hill did get in trouble.
Wes Horton
got in trouble. Alexander. All those guys from the Panthers are my ice-up picks for being complete idiots because you know what happens when you do stuff like that. You get caught. You've already been caught before. They're going to test you again. It's no doubt about it. They're going to test you again. And you get caught again.
Yeah.
So to those guys, and in addition to having to pay money and not getting paid for the time that you're out, go ahead and ice up.
Nice.
All right. Ice up. Frank Alexander, you suck anyway because you never have done jack. Never done anything.
Time to cut ties, man. Time to cut ties.
I agree.
Everybody loves him. All right, Joe, get out of here. I know you got to run. Mel Mayock. Mel, tell us, do you got an ice up pick of the week for us?
My problem is I got too many. I mean.
Oh, I know. The list is long and undistinguished this week.
Yeah, let me throw one out there that's not actually mine, but the list is so long I just had to jump on. Johnny Football, what are you thinking? But that one's too easy. Hopefully somebody else will cover that one. But Johnny Football, really? Ugh. But one that I'm going to take a couple weeks back. I haven't been on the show in a couple weeks. The last time I was on, I was out there in Maui. But you may have actually covered this one, but I find it unbelievable that a referee at a college football game when Central Michigan and Toledo got together. Jay, I'm sure you guys out there are all familiar with the great rivalry of Central Michigan and Toledo, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Right on, man. But these guys are going at it, right? And the crowd's into it, the cheerleaders are into it, the band's all excited, and the referee calls a timeout, tells everybody to shut up. He walks over to the side, and I wish I could play. He says, I wish I could play the video for you, but he says, everybody has got to calm down. The cheerleaders and the band are too loud. The players cannot hear the snap. You're going to have to hush.
What?
Exactly.
Can't be doing that.
So,
Go for the cheerleaders.
You got to Google it, man. It's unbelievable. I mean, and there's this whole scene of cheerleaders looking at each other like, did he really just say that? I mean, they were almost as shocked as we all were when the line came out and the Cowboys were favored by a point. I mean, it was like, really? But the whole crowd just...
Awesome. He said, will you please not be cheerleaders?
Yeah, you guys need to... You guys got to keep it down. You got to keep it down over there. We can't hear the snap. So the crowd got even louder and louder. You know, it was kind of the reverse effect on the guy. But you, Mr. Nowhereville referee that needs the crowd to hush and shush so that you and the players can hear the snap count, and you don't understand the legacy of American football, ice up, son.
Ice up, son.
You know what is? It sounds like to me there was some replacement refs there, and they replaced that ref with a librarian. Hush. Oh, good Lord. All right. Jay Cryer across the pond. What's your ice up pick of the week?
Well, I've got two real quick. First one is a bit more serious. Obviously, you know about the terrorist attacks in France. Obviously,
Yes.
we're a very multicultural country, and I personally have a lot of friends from all different backgrounds, races, etc. We've got a newspaper called the Sun newspaper who published 2 days ago, bear in mind it's read by 8 million people every day, that 1 in 5 Muslims support the extremists, support ISIS. What a ludicrous statement to make when, you know, our biggest worry is that, you know, the uneducated UK people are already going to turn on the Muslims. You know, the last thing we want to see is, you know, any Muslims, you know, getting abused because of, you know, something that's nothing to do with them. And then to have that on the front of one of our newspapers, I just think was disgusting. So to Rupert Murdoch, it's Rupert Murdoch's group. And anybody who had anything to do with...
No surprise there, buddy.
Anyone who has anything to do with that needs to definitely ice up, because that's disgusting.
I think that's a great point, and I want to comment on that because somebody was telling me, I wanted to know what's the benefit of, like, the strategy of these types of terrorist attacks when you're actually uniting the world in opposition. And somebody told me this, is that it was to create enough anti-Muslim sentiment to where then you pushed people that were just regular, good, God-loving Muslims away.
That's the theory behind it. Is that you're gonna isolate them to the point where sort of strength through unity, almost like when you see people going to prisons. People that aren't racist will be forced to sort of align themselves by race because it's either that or be on their own. And I feel that, you know, that's kind of the feeling. But, you know, I just think it's disgusting. You know, you've got a lot of, well, you know, 99.9% occurring, reoccurring. Muslims are lovely people that, you know, I've got some real close friends. One of my best friends is from Jordan. You know, growing up in a multicultural city in Birmingham, I just think it's disgusting that anyone would encourage people to believe that's what's going on behind closed doors when it's quite clearly not. You know, it's very, very isolated incidents where people are supporting ISIS, and it, you know, it's showing across the world that it's people from all different types of religion, all different skin colours. So to try and isolate the Muslims in our country, I think was a disgusting thing to do and a low blow, and they should genuinely be ashamed of themselves.
Well, to them and Rupert Murdoch bunch from C3 all the way across the Atlantic, ice up.
A real quick one is just out to one of my boys, Jamie. Yeah, on Monday morning he comes out, checks for his car, phones up the police, reports his car stolen, only to be told that the handbrake broke and his car reversed off the hill onto the busiest road in Bristol, the main road in and out of the city, and caused havoc. And we had to go and pick it up yesterday, and it cost him £200 to get his car back because it had been impounded. So Jamie Crawford, he'll be listening to this tomorrow. So Jamie Crawford, ice up, son.
That's awesome. All right, here's my ice up son pick of the week. It goes to Dallas Cowboy fans. Yes, every single one of you jackasses that I cannot stand. I didn't realize how much I disliked you until I met you recently. I used to know some Dallas Cowboy fans back in the day, and they were completely obnoxious, hard to get along, and it's been so long I forgot about them. But you know what? You guys are intolerable as a bunch. And this goes, I'm at lunch wearing a shirt and tie at work. I did have my Panthers tie on because it was Monday. And I'm at lunch, and somebody at the bar goes talking to a guy, and they said, how'd your fantasy weekend go? And they're like, not so good or something. And they said, well, did you start Jameis Winston with the 5 touchdowns? I said, hold up. I said, we're talking 5 touchdowns here. Why aren't we talking about the real quarterback, Cam Newton? And the guy scoffs a little bit, and turns out he's a Cowboys fan. And then he said, oh, well, we'll see you on Thursday. And he started talking smack to me. And I said, hold up. I said, and I was being respectful. I was at work. I said, look, y'all are 3-7. We're 10-0. Then he starts cursing in this restaurant. And he says, I don't give a F what you are. And I said, what? I said, well, wait until we curb stomp you on damn Thursday. And he was pissed. He got mad. I told him to bless his heart. He tried to fight me in a restaurant. So to you, you classless jackasses, and this goes to the Carolina Panthers, do not fail me this week, because I hate these people. I hate these people with all of my heart. And so to you, what I got to say, Dallas Cowgirls, Jerry Jones and your I don't trust you're human, Greg Hardy, we're going to tax you for $13 million. Ice up.
Ice up, sir.
Ice up.
Before we go, can I just shout out my lovely girl Zara, who's managed to stay up till 4:15 just to watch me on the show. And also, you know, as you guys already know, she gave me a beautiful son since the last time we video chatted like this. Who I'm going up to Scotland to see on Monday for a few weeks. So yeah, just want to say hello to her.
Well, safe travels, and it is a beautiful looking boy. He is a beautiful looking boy, and you know what? That's what happens when you lose your keys. All right, this is the C3 podcast.
That's what happens when you keep pounding.
That's right, when you keep pounding. Jay Cryer from across the Atlantic. Thanks, brother.
Pleasure, as always, boys.
All right, this is the C3 podcast.
Dude, it was an honor having you, Jay.
Yeah, thanks, boys. And follow me at YeahBoy on Twitter.
At YeahBoy, Mel Mayock from Las Vegas. Tell them how they can get after you.
Well, you can follow me anytime on @Panthers Drafter on Twitter. I'm also a writer for the Panthers over at DraftTech.com. Got a new mock draft coming in on Thursday, 2 rounds. Written commentary. Check it out. See who I got us taken. And, hey, go check us out every day at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We got a new contest going on we didn't even talk about. Giving away wow.
Get there. Get to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Check out the contest for the signed Big Money Cam Wow. Oh, yeah, boy. That's right. Cam Wow signed by Big Money. This is the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, bringing you the C3 podcast. We'll check you out next week, Tuesday. But don't you worry. You can find us on Twitter at @cat_chronicles, where we will be frying those Cowgirls on Thursday. We're out, brothers.
Peace.
Peace.